We're disappointed about? Okay, I don't know how many of you are Twitter users. Someone got called out on Twitter. Again, it's another round, but it's someone who has not been called out before. What a stink, dude. What a stink that made. I was just scrolling and trying to hang out, and I was like, oh man. So I wanted to say a few things and give some advice related. I would like to start with, I have my friends and I love my friends. There are lots of people that I interact with where, to be nice and keep up appearances, whatever, and keep the world chill, I interact normally with them. And it's totally fine if they haven't slighted me or done something directly crazy to someone I know that if I'm not aware of this stuff, whatever, I hang out. Keep it cordial with everyone. That's always fine. But sometimes people do things and there might be some behaviors that you think are a little weird and you're like, ooh, what is that? Trust your gut is what I'll say. That's number one. Number two, when someone does something, you hear a lot of this stuff behind the scenes, and you become aware of things that people have done or people have said or whatever, because people say, oh, this person said this person said that. As if you're a creator, you hear a lot more of this than will ever really reach the public, because a lot of people like to keep things, again, status quo. I personally, if they didn't say it directly to me, if I don't have a screenshot of them saying it's not about me, whatever, I'm not going to go public with anything, right? I'm just like, whatever. But you hear a lot of things. It's okay to be skeptical and to keep interacting with people, because you don't know if this is hearsay or whatever. And then sometimes if it is about you and you do get proof and you want to talk about it, people can talk about things, that's fine. But yeah, there are a lot of folks that I'm very aware of that do things like this or that are like this. This is not just one person. This is a lot of people. And I would like to say something, because I know right now a lot of people are going to take the opportunity to go ahead and bash and be crazy about it. So far, people have been really nice about it, of just plainly explaining their disappointment, which is okay. A lot more people are like this. And I want to say, while it's unacceptable to act certain ways toward others, a lot of this comes from a very real place. So when people are being mean to others, being competitive in a way that is now too much, there's no good competitive and bad competitive, right? A lot of this comes from a very real place. So I want to just explain something about this industry. In general, you are, as a creator, quantified. Everything you do has a number next to it, has multiple numbers next to it. Every little thing you do. People choose to do things with other people based off of those numbers often. There are times where that makes sense, times where it doesn't make sense. This is something that always happens. And due to the nature of this whole creator industry and how this all works, again, with everything being quantified in all these different ways, what happens is it's in your best interest to do certain things based off of those numbers. Again, there are times where that makes sense to do and other times where it really doesn't. You have to pick and choose, and you have to look at, where is this the right choice for me versus where is this at someone else's expense. I think it is okay to do what's in your best interest. You just have to be upfront about that, and you have to not step on anyone else. My friends do what is right for them, and I cheer for them. But there are times where I see someone do something and it is directly at someone else's expense, and I don't like that. That being said, it comes from a place where they're just trying to push themselves forward. And while I don't agree with how people do things, I don't want people bashing on others for just wanting to succeed. It's okay to be like, this specific behavior, this way you went about this is bad. But wanting to succeed, there's nothing wrong with that. So I want to make sure when people are speaking about situations and they don't like certain things, let's not turn this into creators should just do what they love and all be friends and everything should be perfect and you shouldn't care about your business. Because you should. But again, it really matters how you do that. And there's no reason at all to not be upfront about everything. If I wanted to go to my model artist and have her be exclusive with me, I would just talk to her about it. And I would say, hey, this really does add a lot of value to my brand. It really does help with recognizability and everything if you work for me specifically. Would you be open to exclusivity? There are people who do this. Every cartoon has this, in outside of VTubing and in the general world when it comes to art, there's a lot of exclusivity between certain artists working with certain brands and not working with others. There always is. This has always been a thing. There are people who make cartoons and you recognize oh, that's the SpongeBob artist. The SpongeBob artist doesn't do 10 other cartoons at the same time. No, they sign an exclusivity deal to do just SpongeBob because they get paid fairly for it. They're approached normally about it, and they want to do it. That can be done. That can be done, absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. If you talk to them just as a friend and you say, hey, I'd really like if you prioritize me just because it does help me. And they want to say, okay, they can say, okay, but the ball is in their court. That is completely the artist's decision. You either have to offer them something that makes sense for them, or not, or nothing. Right? That's all. That's how that works. You go to an artist, you say, I like working with you. I would love to have your art style be related to me more than others because it really does help me. Because that's okay to say, like, this helps my brand, because that is a fact, it does. But it's the artist's choice. They could be like, I don't want to... I love working with you, also work with you, but I want to work with everyone else equally. I don't want to prioritize you. I have some people that will say, I will prioritize you. I'm not going to not work with other people, but I will absolutely prioritize you without me even asking. I've just had them be like, yeah, I just like being like a pocket artist for you. And I'm like, thanks. That's very nice of you. And we talk about it because we're friends. But there's no part of that conversation where we're like, don't work with XYZ or cut others off, or I always offer something. Okay, I'll make sure I give you a lot of work. You know, I'll make sure I pay you or something. And I would like to say this industry really, like I said, because everything's quantified, everyone feels compared to everyone else all the time. There are a lot of people who are able to just look at that as a reality, like, yeah, it's just quantification and it is what it is, and they move on and it doesn't weigh on them. There are also a lot of people where it does weigh on them. There are a lot of people that get reminded, they get compared to other people about their designs looking similar, about all these different things, you know? And it really lends itself to breeding behaviors like this. Your closest friends that you do things with are the people you will get compared to the most, because you end up sharing community. You end up just next to them, just physically next to them all the time, around them all the time, heard in the same VCs all the time, and you will get compared to those people the most. And all that comparison and all that quantifying of you and things that viewers do that make you feel, you know, like there's just a lot of side by side going on, lends itself to people doing shit, right? That is just to make sure that they're succeeding over others. And again, wanting to succeed is fine, but how you go about it and whether or not that makes you step on others to get up there is a big part of what's okay and what isn't. Yeah, mutual respect. I have friends that I talk to very normally about all this stuff, and they talk to me very normally about all this stuff, and we can have mature conversations about all of it, about how it makes certain people feel. That is just fine. Those are adult conversations you can have. If you are close friends with someone, you should be able to talk to them about these things. Okay? That's all. Oh, when she said every indie manager is a boyfriend, she was right about it. That's not true. I will say that's not true. It's definitely more true more often than people will say. But no. No, Yako, that's not about her. It's about something else. That was just a comment that was mentioned. No, indie managers are basically, for most people, manager is a big word. Most people, when they have someone they hire as a manager, it's more of an actual personal assistant as far as what the person does in the role. And a lot of people hire their own staff. The same way you hire an editor to edit your videos, you can hire an assistant to sit there and handle communications and things, because there's a lot of moving parts. And to sit there in a meeting with you once a week to like look at a Trello board, be like, you have these sponsorships coming up, you have these dates of these collabs that people were doing. Oh, you have a birthday video, let me go and message all these people about all these things. That's actually very normal that people hire someone to do that. I think there are enough scenarios where someone does use their significant other as that role, because that probably makes a lot of sense if they're like around them all the time. I you know, as I think about it, I'm like, yeah, but that is not always the case, that they're actually related to them in that way. It's usually a longtime friend or a mod that's been around for a while that has proven themselves to be very good at what they do, and then they're just like, hey, I need an assistant to do these things. And a lot of people use the word manager because they're managing some tasks, but a lot of the time they're not actually managing them, right? Like they're not telling them what to do or anything. It's just like, hey, I need you to like be checking my email every day because I get literally like 50 emails a day about all this shit. Can you look through it? It's stuff like that. I think it is good to hire management. I heard some indies after that tweet was made, they were like afraid. They're like, now I don't want to hire a manager or call someone a manager because people are going to start assuming shit. And I was like, no, it's still hire one. Like, talk about them all you want. It's very normal. You should have one. It's helpful. It's not a manager, it's like a secretary or something. That's what I was saying. It's more of a personal assistant role that most of these managers have. Manager is also still a good word for it because they are managing something. It's just not always that they're managing you. They're managing like some of your business under you. They're managing your brand with you. It doesn't mean that they're managing you. There are some people that definitely kind of like give the reins to their manager and let their manager tell them what to do. I don't think you should do that, like at all. I don't think you should give them the reins, but letting them manage your business and your brand with you, absolutely. As long as you're like not giving them more control than what you have. I don't know why they need to call them manager. That's literally, they literally are a manager. If I'm a manager and I work at Amazon, you don't think I like own Amazon and tell Amazon what to do. So if I'm a manager and I work at X brand, I'm working under the company and helping them manage some of their day-to-day shit. I might be a specific manager, a manager for this thing, a manager for that thing. So the word manager is totally fine. I just think over time people have kind of thought that, because there are cases of this, I think people have gotten under the assumption of like the idea that managers tell people what to do, which is, no, they are there to suggest, because having a second set of eyes on things is really valuable, but they don't tell you what to do. And if you do have one that does, sometimes there is something that comes out where there is one that, like, you could tell they really drove the whole thing. Don't do that. like don't let anyone be that. I think people in the VTubing world got that impression because they're used to the idea of a manager from a big corpo where that corpo owns your IP, and they actually can tell you a bit more of what to do because the corpo owns the IP, not you. That's different. We're not talking about that. With indies, you're just hiring people into your own team, again, the same way you'd hire like an editor or something. They're working under you. And if you let them work over you, you got to change that. You always thought they act like agents. They are a lot more like agents. Yeah. It's just because there's too much communication to be done that you will literally sit there. If you wanted to answer every email and look through every little thing, check all the comments on every video, whatever, you would spend hours a day doing this. And you're much more well off if you hire someone else to do it and you just relax. You spend some of the time relaxing or getting other work done. Like my manager at VShojo, for example, we meet once a week. I can DM him all I need to get anything from him. We meet once a week and we sit there and we have like a board with all of my active stuff that's going on. And we just walk through it and we talk about any updates. And then I let him know what I'm gonna do and he says what he offers to do. Like, oh, I can message this person. I go, okay, yeah, you do that. We just kind of separate out like the tasks. I have a personal manager as well. I've talked about this. I've always had one. I've hired different people and settled on one. And they do the same thing with me. Because there are things that VShojo does not handle. There's a lot of stuff that I handle. So I meet with that person once a week as well. Usually right after my VShojo meeting, I'm like, okay, here's what we talked about. Here's what I need you to do. Here's what we're handling on our end. Can you message this person? Can you talk to this merch person about like for example, my faction related stuff is an IP that I own and it's not under the GEEGA brand, so it has nothing to do with VShojo. And that's why you don't see merch of my faction mascots on the VShojo site ever. It's a separate IP. So I do that stuff on my own if I want to. That's like my personal manager will sit there and will handle stuff that's just under my brand that's separate from that, right? Things like that. And it's helpful. I also have like sponsorships. Vast majority of my sponsorships I get myself. so I need someone to sit there and message those people, do outbound. I don't just sit there and wait for emails to come to me for them to offer me sponsorships. We also check with people. I have a direct contact at Xseed and I talk to them, but sometimes I'll say to my manager like, yo, can you message them? I'm going to be streaming for the next 8 hours, but there's this time sensitive thing. Can you talk to them about this? Stuff like that. So yeah, you should have staff helping you. You don't need a ton of hours out of them, but just like a little something every week is so helpful. Yeah, this is a good point. You said even in tech, the best managers I've had don't micromanage. They just enable you to be productive. Exactly. TLDR, if you're a creator, get one. Go hire someone trustworthy for this stuff.